Stay tuned. Band in Seattle starts right now. Hey, welcome to Band in Seattle. I'm Xander. Band in Seattle features up-and-coming bands from all over hoping for their big break. Tonight we feature two great bands, Big World Breaks and the Nicholas Russell Band. Imagine a 40s-era jazz big band, 70s Spanish Harlem-style boogaloo, and the Roots circa 1990 have a baby. That's Big World Breaks. They're here in our studio now, ready to share their music and stories. We'll be right back.
Walk this path for generations, telling stories through the rungs of rooted towers, a son of First Nations. Before the winds reversed and shaped the world with gunpowder, I'm at the point of no return.
Hi, my name's MIKAELA Romero. I am the lead vocalist and also percussionist for Big World Breaks, and I make my living doing music. Trigger Happy is a song that was written in dedication to the native carver John Williams, who was gunned down in the streets of Seattle. It's a memorial piece that speaks out against violence.
You took my body, but not my soul. Trigger happy, what goes around must come around, must come around, must come around. Wrapped in chains, returning to the earth. Deaf to your aggressions, you were blind to my worth. Your resignation can't erase your name. No rest for the malicious. Close your eyes and see my face. Trigger happy, your blood so cold. You took my body.
My name is Aaron Walker Loud. I'm the director and founder of Big World Breaks, and I'm a teaching artist. And this room right here, this band room, is where I first got my start in 1991, learning from Mr. Robert Nat. And here I am back again today teaching, 6 years now directing the drum line. Specifically with our music, we're very inspired by funk and soul and Latin and Afro-Caribbean and jazz and a lot of other parts of the Pan-African family tree that's all rooted in West Africa and jazz music. When I was in Trinidad with my musical brother, Zach, Carnival 2003, there was a bird that kept calling and responding with me with a melody that ended up following me all the way back to Seattle and became the heart of the song Prayers in Trinidad.
Prayers in Trinidad is really great. That's a feature of the band that I really love being in Big World Breaks, is that it's international. Like, it's not just music from the US or pop. It gives you a flavor, and that's totally a flavor that's out of this country. At age 12, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he played a few instruments from playing in church, and I didn't play any instruments at the time. I had always sang, but he played this really beautiful song that I just had to learn, and he taught it to me, and I've been no good ever since for the keyboards. It's just been my thing. It came pretty natural, and I definitely remember being teased and, like, oh, you're going to practice piano? Like, that was just so silly a thing to do when everyone else is out having fun, and I could never really tear myself away. I just always something more to do, more of an adventure, and I just was in love with it.
Your eyes keep reappearing. I have known them before.
Golden Love is a song that we wrote in dedication to Aaron's fiancée, Jasmine.
So natural to the touch, honest beauty.
Golden Love is awesome because I just love the simplicity of it, and my favorite part about actually being in the Big World Breaks band is being able to sing with MIKAELA.
Kissed by orange and red, all through the summer. Give me that golden love, all through the summer.
Band in Seattle will be right back with more of Big World Breaks.
There's a war inside me as I sit on your shore, like the tide comes and goes. My hands shake as I feel your vibration, touching your surface. I know where I belong, experiencing what words can't explain. Your fire lighting our path. My godmother said I have a higher purpose. Can you take me there, take me there?
Seattle is much more of a collaborative atmosphere with musicians than competitive. And it really has to do with people playing in a lot of different projects. And I think that's, you know, part of what makes Seattle unique in a way is that it's not necessarily us versus these other guys, or because the other guys might have some of your members in the band.
There's less music industry here, so there's more room for people to move artistically. Now, of course, we'd love to grow more industry here, but in the meantime, as a final frontier of the industry itself in the States, we've had more room to focus a lot more time on the creativity as far as the sound and the approach.
So I moved here from Fairbanks, Alaska for education first, but I stayed because of the sense of community in this music scene. You don't get that in other cities. I found it's much more cold in other cities, but here there's a warmth and a sense of community and a sense of camaraderie of being musicians in this life, you know, in this struggle.
Transform's a really fun song because it's so action-packed. There's a lot of hits, lots of drum breaks, and it's really exciting. It's one of the edgier seaters. I met Aaron is I teach piano I'm in the catalog at Seattle Central Community College, and he was the drummer in a class and I was the substitute teacher.
I was in the Garfield Jazz Ensemble in high school with Aaron Walker Loud.
In 1991, as a sixth grader, my life changed for the better. You know, Mr. Robert Nat was the key to that. He directed concert bands and jazz bands here for a very long time, and is, I think, really one of the sole reasons why the famous jazz programs in Roosevelt and Garfield and other schools around here were fed so much talented musicians coming into freshman year. And this building here, through Mr. Nat's musical leadership, is the reason that happened for me and a lot of other people.
One of my long-term dreams is to become a music teacher. And you know, that's thinking like point A to point Q. But you know, there's a lot of steps in between, obviously. I'm not ready to just do that for the rest of my life yet, because I want to be fully invested when it happens. But anyway, I know that for myself, it would be a dream come true if I could come back to Seattle and teach at Garfield High School.
Making large stage productions like that, it boils down to people having the commitment and the work ethic that I'm so blessed to be able to have these players who are willing to not only play in my group, but all the other groups they play with, and dialing in very exact scheduling where we have an hour-and-a-half sectional here, a 2-hour sectional here. I couldn't do any of it without all those players being generous with their time and their talent. And if I had the kind of budget, I would lock them away for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time just so we could really dig in. But until then, you know, we make it work with creative scheduling and dedication.
Next up on Band in Seattle is the Nicholas Russell Band. Carrying on the tradition of great Northwest bands, Nicholas Russell, who is my uncle, singer-songwriter, forges his own path with catchy chord changes and melodies that everyone can understand. Stay tuned.
You're in the seat in front of me, where I can watch you secretly. Of how I look at you, would you think I'm mad? What would you do? Drive off, just head off, don't slow down, till everybody else get out of here. I feel drunk and I'm choked up, like I'm baptized, like I'm crucified, like I drank all night. Feels like it's real as you drive me home tonight. Me home tonight.
I'm Nicholas Russell of the Nicholas Russell Band, and we're here at my home studio called Electric Muses. This is where I make a living. I am a music composer by trade. So I kind of learned the trade of how people write songs and how they do things by performing them and dissecting them, learning how to play them myself.
Nicholas's music, it's distinctive, but it's still familiar. Nicholas actually already wrote and recorded bass parts for all these songs. And I stick to those parts for many songs, but I have just subtle little things that I bring to the pocket end of it.
Hold it out there like a mother holds her baby. They'll give it a kiss, but no one really cares. And then you want to hang it up, but you may say, no, don't do it, baby. You got a real good thing. When you're out all night and the money's tight.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ames, and I sing backing vocals for the Nicholas Russell Band. For me, music is like therapy. It just helps me not think about the things that are going on in my life, and helps me get through my day and give me something to look forward to. I have MS, and I'm able to manage it by getting plenty of rest, being on a gluten-free diet, just taking really good care of myself. And if I do those things, then I'm able to go out and be in bands and perform around the Seattle area.
Rachel B is a song about a girl. It's about a mystical, crazy, funny, imaginary friend of mine named Rachel B.
My sister, Rachel B's got love in her pockets and pajamas with her feet. I said, sister, be so kind, bring your pennies for your thoughts, 10 quid for your mind, you can break it. Rachel B, you never do it for you, you always do it for me. Come on, hit me, speak your lies, roll me around and warm my frigid life. Your love is lifting me higher than a kite on a night to March breeze. Your love is lifting me higher than the ladies on Bourbon Street.
My lucky break was one night I was playing in a bar, and the next day the drummer said, "Hey, Prince was at the gig last night, wants you to audition for the time." I'm like, whoa. And then they said, "You're gonna make a movie and it's gonna be called Purple Rain, and you guys are gonna be famous and movie stars." And we were like, yeah, right. I didn't really, I mean, we didn't believe it, but it happened. I met Nick about 10 years ago. Kind of out of the blue, he called me and, sure, Nick, yeah, no problem. I probably must have surprised him or something, but he said he was afraid to call, but I said, Nick, just call me.
This last summer, my band was playing at a music festival here in Washington State, and I see this 13-year-old kid get up on stage, and I go, oh, how cute, they got a little boy to play. And then he starts playing, oh my.
Band in Seattle will be right back with more of Nicholas Russell.
Give a big round of applause for Caspian.
Oh my, I've never heard a kid play like that. You know, I was in a band when I was 13 years old, and I was good. I was very good. I was not nearly as good as Caspian is. He is simply the most amazing player. He is better than most players I know as adults.
Since I was a really little kid, I always wanted to play guitar. It was something that was just really cool, and after seeing like Jimi Hendrix play, it was just a cool thing to do. When I'm playing, nothing's really going through my mind. It's just finding the notes, but I don't really have to think about it too much. Fun, it's just fun. Like my idols are Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Hazel of Funkadelic, Buddy Guy, Albert King, B.B. King, Freddie King, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page. I mean, I'm all over. I mean, I listen to Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. I mean, I try to like listen to as much music as I can possible.
Jeff Sadler is the drummer in the band. He is the cheerleader for the band for me. His enthusiasm for this absolutely keeps me going.
I come from a real musical family. My mom's a concert pianist. Grew up underneath the piano with the dog, listening to Chopin and Tchaikovsky. Great childhood. Yeah, he was kind enough to ask me to join this Nicholas Russell band, and it's fantastic. It is so much fun. The musicianship, all the musicians in the band, they're just a joy to play with.
Caspian Coberly, ladies and gentlemen.
Years ahead of his time. Fantastic. Potential in that kid is incredible. I can't wait to come back in 10 years and see what he's doing.
I can tell by the sigh in your breath, by the beating of your chest, by the bruise on your heart, before words ever start deep down inside. You're thinking it's over. I can tell by the kiss on the cheek that it's just getting weak. By the way you say my name, things will never be the same. It's different now. I'm feeling it's over, but I can't tell by the cold embrace, by the way you turn your face, by the tone of your voice. You won't get up, just by the tilt of your neck. You start thinking it's over, it's over. I can tell by the time you breath, by the beating of your chest, by the bruise on your heart, before words ever start deep down inside.
So when Nick asked me to play the last song they're gonna do, it was actually on stage, and I was like, okay, I don't even know the song, but I was able to figure out the key on stage, just kind of from hitting a different note and then being like, okay, I can find it.
Thanks for watching Band in Seattle. To see the complete concerts held in our studios, go to our webpage, bandinseattle.com. Next week, we return with the band Kingdom Crumbs for more great music and great stories on Band in Seattle.